Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. I mean, we are getting lots of practice in. I don't know if you are or not, but man, are there lots of opportunities to learn how to peace out every single day, right? Yes, indeed. I hope you're having a good week. What is today? Wednesday, hump day, middle of the week. So for those of you who only work Monday through Friday at noon today, you're halfway through your shift today. You'll be halfway through with your work week, right? But some of us don't work just Monday through Friday. So anyway, but I hope you're having a good week, whether you're working or retired or on vacation or working 9 jobs or whatever's going on. You know what? We serve an amazing God. And so every day should be great, right? Because we are blessed every day by the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, who wants to walk with us in time, who wants to live this life with us, right? And that's an amazing thing. So we've been talking about Peter this week, and we talked about him a little bit last week. I've been on Peter a lot. So I was thinking about Peter, and I was thinking about how he was a royal mess up and how he denied Jesus 3 times. And yet he is one of the most prolific characters and in the New Testament, as we see the studies, the stories in Acts of how the baby church, is coming together, and Peter was one who stood up and he was bold and he used the things that had tripped him up earlier became his strengths as he became a leader in the church, right? And so I was thinking about how God just used Peter in spite of his inadequacies, in spite of his skewed strengths and weaknesses, and all. God didn't say, I'm not going to use Peter. Matter of fact, Jesus was preparing Peter before he even went to the cross. And after he was resurrected, he was like, go feed my lamb. Take care of my sheep. You're going to take care of my church. You'll take care of my people. And so Jesus still commissioned him, even though he saw Peter deny him 3 times. He knew he was going to do it, saw him do it, but he saw Peter work through that too. That's the key. Peter didn't quit just because he messed up. He could have said, you know what? I just can't, I just can't. I'm not worthy of being a leader in the church, which would have been true. It's true for any of us. We're not worthy of the callings God places on our lives. We're not worthy of the things he gives us to do. We're not even worthy of the sacrifice, but he decided we're worthy. He decided that he would take care of what was broken in the garden and fix it so that we could walk in relationship with him even right here. And it's still good in 2025. And so as I was thinking about Peter and his inadequacies and his strengths and his weaknesses, and I thought, you know what? This Bible is full of people who made mistakes and God still used them. We look at the Hebrews 11 and what we call the Hall of Faith, and we look at the characters, if I can use that term, right, that we see play out in Hebrews 11, because it starts with Abraham. It says Abraham, he's the father of our faith, right? We've got the example. It starts with Abel. And it talks about Enoch. I'd love to know more about Enoch. When I get to heaven, that's who I want to talk to. I'll say, all right, now talk to me, because I got some stuff I want to compare, and got some questions. But it starts talking about Abraham obeying God. But did you know that Abraham was not perfect? As a matter of fact, at one point, Abraham told a huge lie. He lied and said that Sarah was his sister. It was not a full-blown lie. It was a white lie. There's no such thing as a white lie, by the way. It's either the truth or it's not. Okay. And it wasn't, but it was not a huge, but he still said, she's my sister. And so then they found out later that she was actually his wife. And as a matter of fact, I think Isaac did the same thing later, right? But Abraham lied. And so that means he wasn't perfect. Abraham was not, he operated in some fear there. He was afraid they would kill him and take her because she was beautiful. That's what his line of thinking was. If I tell them that she's my wife, they're just going to kill me and take her. I don't know why he thought that, but he let fear have a little bit of a hold right there, right? And while he's holding on to faith about Isaac, at the same time, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? And then we think about other people, we look back and look at their stories, and we just go, wow, there are main Bible characters like David. David was amazing. I mean, he killed Goliath, right? He became a mighty warrior, but he also saw Bathsheba and said, ooh, I want her. And he got her and then had her husband killed. He, in today's terms, he would be a murderer and an adulterer. In those terms, then he was too, right? And he would be in jail for an accomplice to murder because he purposefully murdered Uriah, her husband, right? So that he would try to cover his sin of going and getting her. Right? He was not perfect. He also numbered the children of Israel one time after God had said not to. So he was not perfect, but he did always keep coming back. He always repented and he valued that relationship with God more than he valued his sin. And that was the key with David, right? And then we have Samson. Samson, God came to, was his dad's name Moriah? Is that the right name? That's not the right name. I don't remember what his dad's name was right this second, but the angel came and said, you're going to have, came to the mother. And then I love that story of Samson because, his dad said, we didn't get all that written down. Can you come back? And God sent the angel back. I love that story. I'm like, who does that? Hey God, we didn't write all that down. So just send him back again because we got some more questions. And God sent the angel back. What kind of faith and what kind of prayer is that? What kind of answer is that? Man, I love that story. I'm gonna have to just go read that for fun this afternoon. Anyway, and so, but we have Samson. His destiny was laid out in black and white, literally, right? And he's gonna start to deliver us from the hands of the Philistine and armies, and yet he was tripped up with Delilah. He was taken away and he was taken captive, and it didn't look like God was going to do what he said he was going to do because Samson messed it all up. That's what it looked like. Did you know you can't mess up God's plan for your life? You can just be a scoundrel if you want to, but you can't mess. That's an old term, right? It's antiquated term, right? Be a scoundrel. You can just be. You can choose to be a rebel, but you're not going to be able to run forever. But look at Jonah. We can even look at Jonah, right? Jonah deliberately said, God said, go this way. I'm going that way then. And I'm not even going to look back. I don't even care. And God said, I got a big fish just for you. And God went after Jonah, and the belly of the whale became a meeting place where Jonah cried out to God and said, oh, merciful God. Oh, merciful God. I want to talk to you, right? And it became a meeting place instead of the tomb he thought it was going to be. It was the womb that birthed his ministry, because when he hit the ground, that fish said, this filthy backslider's making me sick. And he threw him up on the dry ground, and Jonah ran to Nineveh. He ran and he did what God said to do in the first place. He could have saved himself a lot of trouble if he'd have just done it first, right? How many times have you told your kids that? I won't talk about that. And even Solomon messed up. The wisest man, the whole world will agree that Solomon was the wisest man that ever lived, right? And yet at the very end, he had, 300 wives and 300 concubines. I don't know. He messed up. He did not follow his own advice, and he let his wives in his old age lead him to worshiping other gods and seeking other gods in his end, even though he knew what he knew. What is my point? I do have a point. I promise I do. I look at all the imperfect people in the Bible, and I see how God used Abraham. And these people that we're still talking about in 2025, we're talking 4,000 years of time here. We're still talking about Abraham and how God used him and the faith that he had, and how we are the seed of that faith. We are those many grains of sand. God said, you can't even number the people that are going to be your children spiritually. Right? Just like you can't number the sand of the sea, and you'll never figure out how many actual stars there are. They're innumerable. This is how many your children are going to be. Well, we are that sand. We are those stars. They represented us because we're still believing in the same God that Abraham believed in, that Abraham had faith in, and we're walking that same faith. He's the father of our faith. Wow. But he messed up too. We don't take that as throw it all away. That's a dumb response. Sorry if you thought that. I'm not really. But instead we say, wow, God didn't let what Abraham did wrong stop him from doing what he planned on doing. God didn't let what Jonah did wrong stop his plan. God didn't let what Samson did wrong stop his plan. It's not like God didn't know before he called these people. He already knew. And he said, my word is established in eternity, in heaven. It will not come back to me void. It will accomplish what I sent it to do. My plan is going to stand, period. And so we see these lives of these imperfect people: Abraham, David, Samson, Gideon. In the end, Gideon ended up setting up an idol for the people after he'd led them and judged them all those years, right? We even have Aaron. Aaron said, throw all your jewelry in here. And what did he tell Moses? We put all our jewelry in the pot and this calf just came out. I don't know. So he did it and then lied about it. And yet God didn't take him away. He still became the first high priest in spite of his weaknesses, in spite of his sin, in spite of the wrongdoings, in spite of the crazy stuff these people did. From Solomon, Abraham, David, Samson, Gideon, Aaron, Jonah. Maybe you got a few you want to throw in there. I'll throw myself in there because I know I have weaknesses and I know I have inadequacies and I know I do things wrong, not always on purpose, but I still get things wrong, or I don't do what I should have done, or I do what I wasn't supposed to do, right? Yeah, you'd think you'd outgrow that, but you never do. And yet God doesn't throw us away. He's not he's not wasteful. He doesn't waste anything. And he doesn't take a call back. He doesn't say, oh, I forgot you were going to do that. Man, forget it. I'm not going to use you. I forgot you were going to do that. I forgot you were going to make that one big dumb decision. No, he already knew that dumb decision was coming and he was prepared to walk you through it with all the mercy and grace that he has. And that's a lot, you guys. He doesn't throw people away. He doesn't say, I'm not going to use you because you did this. He says, I'm going to use you in spite of this. Even though you did this, I still am going to use you for my purposes because you still have a place in the kingdom of God. As a matter of fact, there's a scripture that says the Pharisees who teach the law and teach it wrong on purpose to trip people up are the lowest in the kingdom of heaven. But those who do God's law and pursue God with a whole heart are going to be higher in the kingdom of heaven. But those who do it wrong on purpose and try to trip other people are the lowest of the low in heaven. That means he didn't throw them away. Anybody who wants to pursue God, he's not going to throw away. As a matter of fact, we have stories of people that he pursued, like Jonah, like Paul. He was a murderer. He was going around killing people like us, Christians, those who believed that Christ was the Messiah. He thought he was doing God a service by killing them, right? And yet God said, come on, Paul, I got something for you to do. And Paul himself said, I am the chief of all sinners. And yet God chose me to do a marvelous work with my life, in this life. And then he wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. And we read the stories in Acts of how he started churches, the churches at Ephesus, where the letters went, Galatia, Philippi, all these places. He started churches and he managed them and he set pastors over them. God didn't throw him away, and God's not going to throw you away either. We can trust him that he knew this was going to happen before it ever did, and yet he called us anyway. He used all these people, all these imperfect. Maybe that's his specialty, is using imperfect people like you and me, no matter what. He still wants that relationship with us. And that's why I love him so much. And that's why I love this word that gives us these stories, right, about the imperfect people that God continues to use. And I know that I can trust him for one more day. And I know that I can peace out because he's not going to walk out on me today. Peace out. He ain't walking out on you today either. Have a great day. I'll see you again tomorrow.